here and ready. Let's play.
Recently, I've been learning about letting go. And with regards to manifesting, sometimes I get a bit confused as to what I'm supposed to let go of and what I'm supposed to hold on to. And it almost leaves me in a state of fear. And even when I want something, I'm afraid to want it too much, just in case that sort of contracts the energy from it manifesting. Do you have any advice on the best way to manifest something, or, to relieve some of this fear around it?
This is an excellent question, and we are so glad that you brought it up, because it gives us a chance to play with you in an area that is quite sparingly understood. We say that because there is a sense amongst many of you that you theoretically have an understanding of what it takes to manifest something, but there are some problems that arise when you try and actually implement it in your life, and you do not always see the results that you are seeking. So there are a couple of things that we will speak to you about in terms of this that will give you a lot more clarity, so that you can relax into the process of manifesting, which is actually natural to you, rather than feeling as though it is stressful and challenging and hard. The fear that you have, the feeling that you have that there are pressures on you to get this right and not wrong, they are occurring for you because you are actually attempting to engage with the process of manifesting in a much more through the mind mode than what is actually effective. There is an honoring of the mind that is required in order to allow the mind to feel safe and comfortable enough to relax into the manifesting process. But if the entirety of your consciousness and concentration efforts are based only or mostly on the mind, you are not connected to the feeling experience, which is powerful and capable of moving vast amounts of energy for you that clear the way for things to come. So our guidance to you is to, when you are attempting to be conscious in the process of your manifesting, to take some time to honor the mind, to connect in with the mind, and to thank it for all the amazing things that it does for you always, and to encourage it to allow a level of support from the other pockets and aspects of you, such as the feeling knowing of you, the intuition of you, the emotion of you, the energetics of you. There is a sense with most of you that the mind is the dominant force via which you experience yourself and the world. And there is a level at which that puts a lot of pressure on the mind, which creates a lot of tension, which then disallows relaxation and the opening energy that is required for productive, flowing, easeful, joyful manifestation. And so as you encourage your mind to feel supported rather than demoted, as you encourage it to feel as though it is being joined with other aspects and layers of you with a level of appreciation, gratitude, and deep, profound support, you will be supporting the mind not just in opening up to manifestation, but into allowing a level of relaxation, which is the prerequisite for manifestation. There is a lot of tension that many of you hold around the idea of manifestation, and you will feel into yourself if you use your consciousness. That tension is by its very nature, a contracting energy. And when you wish to manifest, you are wishing to add more to what has been before. And that is an expansive energy. And so when you find yourself in a place of tension or in a place of over focusing on the mind, rather than freaking out that you are going to manifest bad things, we would encourage you to consider rejoicing in the fact that you have become aware of something that could use more expansion. Because as you find more of those pockets and allow more allowing instead, what you will be doing is opening the door to that easeful, joyful manifestation that you wish for. And so the mind is not the enemy, but the mind alone is not capable of doing everything that you require in order to create that level of ease and flow that we feel in you that you are craving. Support the mind, love the mind. And when you are wondering for yourself, which things should I let go of and which things should I hold on to? If that is just a mental process, you will be cutting yourself off from a lot of the wisdom that is available to you, because your felt experience, your emotional experience, your intuitive experience are also able to highlight things for you. And so we would counsel you with this also. The idea of letting go to many of our human friends feels as though it is like a cutting away of something, a pushing away of something, a getting rid of something. And that is also a tense energy, and it creates contraction rather than expansion. And so we would encourage you to consider playing with the idea of shifting your notion from letting go to allowing. Think of it as an open hand instead of a fist. You do not need to push away anything. You do not need to get rid of anything, because when you take that intention and attention to any part and aspect of you, you are creating division within yourself. And division is also a tension of energy, a contraction of energy, because there must be a force at play in order to keep that energy somewhat separate. And so this does not need to be complicated. This does not need to be hard, but it does entail a retraining of some of the ways that you interact with yourself inside of yourself. As you start to move from an exclusive or a mostly mind-focused interaction with self and the world into a more fully embodied, experiential interaction with yourself and the world, you will be opening the door of communication to so much more of your knowing and your wisdom that you will no longer be doing lists of pros and cons and should and shouldn't. It will be much more natural for you to flow with what is arising within you. And you are on that process and on that journey right now, and you are doing better than you think.
I've been feeling a bit of frustration that not my psychic abilities, but my ability to trust my intuition just isn't coming through for me. Is there any tips that you can give, or can you speak to that?
Refer to everything that we just said before about the interaction between the felt sense experience and the mind. It is not a coincidence that that is your next question to us, because this is where the energetics of what we are speaking about naturally led you to, and the resonance within yourself allowed you to feel the guidance of the material, the energy, the information, and your own consciousness and your own desire for yourself. The way that these two things are connected is that when you are interacting with yourself in the old mode of the mind is the boss and the mind has to determine what is right and what is wrong and what is good and what is bad, and you are only to do the good things so that you can create good things in your world, there is a mass division of self inside of self. The mind feels alone, and not only does it feel alone, it feels so much pressure to get things right for you, because the message that you are telling yourself constantly is that you must get it right in order for things to go well. And so as you continue to honor the mind and not in any way demote it, but also consider it like hiring more staff, more hands on deck, so that you can bring more of your awareness and your knowing. The problem that many of our human friends have when they are attempting to build their connection to their own intuition is that they tend to ask their intuitions to make predictions, but more than that, to choose when things are big and important and challenging. And the level of pressure that goes with that creates a difficulty, because you have not yet built the muscle to hear the subtle messages of your guidance and your intuition. And so our guidance to you, if you wish to our guidance to you, if you wish to bolster your relationship with your intuition, is to play with it when things do not matter, when things are inconsequential, when you are doing things like deciding what it is that you will have for lunch or for dinner. When you take the pressure off and you feel into yourself rather than deciding exclusively with your mind, you start to hear the more subtle messages, because the pressure is not there. It does not matter if you choose to have tuna when you should have had pasta. But also, clearer than this is the fact that you did not have to choose pasta. The main impediment to most of you connecting to your intuition, other than the safety aspect that we have spoken about of non-pressure situations, is the idea that you hold that there is a right way and a wrong way, a right choice and a wrong choice. And if you make the wrong choice, you better watch out, because you'll have to deal with terrible consequences and you'll have missed your boat. But that is not how the universe works. The awareness in all of you is starting to grow so that you can start to have a much more conscious relationship with the universe around you. but the universe is not indifferent to you. The reason that you sometimes find yourself having mixed experiences rather than the delicious, joyous ones that you are wanting to have for yourself is not because the universe does not care about you. It is because the universe is a mirror of what is happening for you in your inner world. And so if inside of your inner world you are not experiencing a level of harmony, then it is going to be difficult for the universe to provide you an external situation that is other than what you are experiencing. And you will therefore have some pockets of harmony and some pockets of disharmony. And so the process of manifestation is much less rigid than many of you are attempting to make it. There is so much expansion and flow in relaxing and allowing and connecting to your own wisdom and learning to follow it. And the more you take the pressure off of yourself, the easier it is going to be for you to learn the subtle language of your intuition, because it is something that changes moment to moment, moment to moment. And so we would invite you to start making the less intense choices in your life in an intuitive way. We would invite you to consider to yourself, if you're deciding what to do on a Sunday morning, for example, rather than going with what you had originally thought that you would do, honor and acknowledge your mind and then feel into your body, feel into any aspect of you, inquire inside of yourself. What would be really uplifting for me to do right now? What would create expansion and joy right now? What would make my life more joyous and easy and easeful right now? What action? And start to guide yourself to connecting into your own wisdom, because wisdom is not just something that is bestowed upon you by grace. Some of you feel that way because the truth is many of you walk around with a lot of resistance in your energy field, and sometimes you drop that resistance, and that's when the universe takes advantage of that dropping of resistance to ram a little bit of wisdom into your system because you are open to it. And so the easefulness within the self is the way to access the easefulness that you wish to manifest in your external world. And this is something that is becoming more understood by many of you. But the biggest salve that we can offer you is the knowing that there is no right and wrong, and that sometimes following your intuition and having it not work out well is an exceptionally good time to reverse engineer how the decision was made and find potentially a pocket that was actually saying, I'm not sure about this decision, but it was quiet and you didn't hear it. And so next time you will be more aware of it in the future. There is no wrong in your experience, but there are informational experiences that you have that provide you with a larger perspective so that you can move forward to choosing again and again and again. And even if you make what you consider the wrong choice, even though there is no such thing, there is always in every moment a multitude of options ahead of you that are able to guide you towards the things that you want. The universe does not get bored with you. We do not get sick of telling you that we love you, we love you, we love you. We love to share with you the knowledge that you already have, so you feel the resonance as we joyfully share it with you. There is no external being that you have to please in order to be granted all of the things, but the universe is carefully calibrated to help you discover the ways that you can play within yourself in order to create more joy, more expansion, more lightness, because you and the universe are always in a place of expansion, whether you are aware of it or not. You are always evolving and changing. It is just that sometimes you evolve to what feels like more of the same. But it is capable of being more light and more joyous. And your life is a wondrous, wondrous miracle. And you really, truly cannot get it wrong.
Thank you, Oron. You always pull on my heartstrings. Thank you. I have a question that is totally separate to what we've been talking about, kind of. So recently I had a past life regression session, and I saw a vision of me as a soul in between this life and the last. And I was basking in the light of this big, beautiful light. I would say it was source, or God. And I got the knowing that I was in an army and I was preparing, or we were preparing to save the earth from destruction. And I am now trying to find how I'm doing that, how I'm supposed to carry that out. I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
We'll tell you that each of you as individuals has got access to every experience and every energetic that has ever been had in the history of your universe. And so we do not wish to tell you that you did not have that experience in what you consider a past life. But we will tell you that sometimes your wisdom accesses things in the form of a past life to communicate a particular energetic to you that is resonant with where you are presently. What we will say to you is that you do not have upon your shoulders the responsibility of saving an entire planet. We will tell you that there is a lot of fear at present, and it looks reasonable. Because if you look around at the situation on your planet right now, it appears to many of you as though things are becoming more and more bleak, and there is less and less space, and many of you perceive there to be less and less time in order for a solution to arise to what you consider an inevitable, terrible end. We wish you to know that so much more is possible than what you perceive right now. And we have said this many times, and we will keep repeating it as long as it is necessary. Humanity currently is undergoing a massive transformation. And we understand that many of you have heard this phrase many times over the last few decades, but it is true that it has been building and building and building. And right now, there is so much more expansion that is available than there ever has been before. There is also a bringing up of so much of the more difficult issues that have been buried for a very long time. There are situations on your planet that are making many of you reconsider what it means to have personal power versus collective power. You are reconsidering what actual power is. You are reconsidering what freedom is. You are reconsidering what kind of people you wish to be, what kind of society you wish to create. There are many ideas around security and insecurity, around fear, around loss, around doubt, around division, around safety, around us versus them, that for a long period of time have been buried. They are all coming to the surface right now. And that is ultimately for the good. But in the same way that sometimes your personal development journey can sometimes feel a little challenging, particularly at the start, the same is true of humanity at present. And so the ultimate answer to your question of how you can be of service to the planet is to do the other things that we have been mentioning in terms of reconnecting to your own wisdom and reconnecting to your own knowing, because you and your soul are communicating moment to moment, moment to moment. And the reason that you feel resonance with what we share is because this knowing is already inside of you. It is just that many of you have practiced disconnection from it, but it is not true disconnection. It is the experience or the illusion of disconnection, because you cannot be disconnected from what you are, which is wisdom and love. And so do not, dear one, make the point of healing your planet something that is heavy and difficult and challenging. And the more you see things that guide you to fear and terror and contraction, there is no problem with that. There is no problem with the fact that the things that you feel already inside of you are being shown to you by that external situation. And so take the time to address those feelings as they come up, to encourage yourself, to nurture yourself, to heal yourself, to hear yourself, to be with yourself through those emotions, and bolster yourself from the inside the way you would a scared child or a deeply beloved friend. And as you do that, you will feel stronger inside of yourself. And when you do that, you bring more lightness, not just to yourself, but to the world. There are many potential solutions to many of the problems that you currently perceive that are not yet ready to be visible. There is so much more hope than what you can sometimes feel. And so encourage yourself as best you can to relax into the safety that you build inside of yourself for yourself. And as you do that, you will feel yourself being guided to particular actions that will help you along the path. But we would encourage you to free yourself from the heaviness and the weight and the burden of what some of you perceive as your mission or your necessary action or even your karma. You are not here to pass a test. You are not here to complete only one objective. Your objective, if there was such a thing, is to contribute to the expansion of the universe. And you cannot but help to do that. And so consider your task done. Consider your mission accomplished. And then playfully encourage yourself to enjoy the ride as best you can, because we say it again. your life is miraculous. It is extraordinary. The fact that you are here currently embodied on this planet and also simultaneously have access to the wisdom and the power of the universe. And as you learn to do that inside of yourself more and more, so that connecting into your own power feels not only safe but natural, you will be so surprised at how delighted you will be and how unfazed you will be by things that look impossible, because you will understand inside of yourself that the power of creating universes and worlds lies within you, and that you are capable of so much, and you might as well make it fun. We love you. We love you. We love you. Go well.
Thank you.
Oh my God, that was so good. Oh, wow. Oh, I've got shivers everywhere. How was that for you? How are you going?
Oh, amazing. I actually react like this when I'm listening to the podcast in the car. Anyway.
Oh my God, you're clearing tons of shit. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I've got to really sit with everything they said. There's so much to take on.
Oh my God, I think we're both going to need to listen to this one maybe 10 times. There was so much in it. There was so much in it.
So much, yeah. But they answered every single thing that I needed.
And it was all connected, wasn't it? Like none 100%. Of it was separate. Like you said, I've got this random other question, but it wasn't random at all. It was just,
they connected it to the other two.
I love how they do that. That's the best. Because it reminds me, because they do it most times I have a session with someone, and it just reminds me like the interconnectedness of everything. Like, yeah, we read about it in a book, everything's connected, we're all one or whatever, but it's like reminds me again and again and again, and it helps me to kind of be how, like what I believe and what I live from. So it's so helpful how they do that.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything that comes from them. So thank you. Thank you for providing that for us.
Oh, my pleasure.
Providing that connection, and that wisdom from them.
Yeah, my pleasure. I knew early on that it wasn't just for me. Like it's, no. And also, like it's kind of weird. I feel like I can kind of connect to them even when I'm not like formally challenged. Like I don't have to always do the weight, moving the body and all that stuff. Like I can just kind of feel them around. So it's not the same. Like it's a different experience. But I feel a bit like I've ran out of questions.
Okay.
Like I did
read that somewhere.
Yeah,
you did write that, yeah.
I feel like I used to have all these burning questions about like the nature of life and the universe. And like slowly it's like that fuel's been eaten up and I haven't got questions left. But I love when someone who's like you, for example, who asks these questions that I wouldn't think, like I love the answers. Yeah. So it's like I'm on the side of the answers and I get to learn from them and hear them and feel them. But I don't have the questions. And so getting people to kind of pull different things than what I would pull out is just the best. So I love the podcast. It matters to me that there's masses of free content as well for people to kind of access and be supported. But I also benefit so much from putting it out, like, because I wouldn't do this in the same way. Like I wouldn't, if I had private sessions with people, I wouldn't go back and re-listen to those. That doesn't feel right to me. Right. But re-listening to the podcast episodes over and again, it feels totally right to me.
Do they talk differently when they're in a private session? Like,
no.
When on the podcast, they're like, you all, they refer to all of us when they're answering one person.
That's an interesting question. They sometimes still say in a private session, they'll say our human friends tend to, or like they'll talk about humanity in general quite a lot, even in private sessions.
Okay.
That's really interesting. I'm actually not aware in this moment of if it's very different. It can be a bit more personal, I guess, in some ways, but is it? I don't know. I guess you'd have to ask.
That regression question, I thought that was bit too personal for the podcast. That's why I asked you at the start.
Yeah.
But they just answered it as like in general, you know?
Well, I guess like you're not the only person who's had a regression or that wonders about it or that has read Many Lives, Many Masters. You know what I mean?
Haven't we all?
Yeah, that's right. And so people would think about it. But I think some of the things I've kind of touched before, because I've been a healer for like 15, 20 years or whatever. So before I knew how to channel Oron, I knew how to channel energy anyway. So I was getting like insights into things. And in a session maybe 5 or 7 years ago or something, it was like someone had asked about a past life. And I got that same insight that actually you're connecting into a pocket of energy of something, but it doesn't mean you were necessarily Cleopatra. It's just that actually explained it really cool. They said when we think of something as being like a past life, we have like, we feel a bit like it's our experience, but there's a level of detachment. And so we can work on things much more easily through a past life than what we can when we're thinking about the people in our practical present life situations. So it accesses all of these energetics in order to create a level of healing. But it doesn't mean you necessarily lived exactly that. Maybe someone did, maybe they didn't. Maybe you're just tapping into the exact mirrored representation that's going to create an energetic shift in that space. So ever since then, I was like, it's not like I don't think past lives are real, but I feel like I hold them a lot more lightly. Before I was like, oh yeah, no, they told me that I had this experience. And so I genuinely thought, I believed, but I'm much more light about it now.
Yeah, I love that because I feel a little bit more light about it now too.
Yeah. It's like amazing how like the energies and the wisdom can just communicate to us. And our consciousnesses are so amazing. I find that when I do like sessions with people as well, like we never need to go digging up shit. Like, you know how you were like, what do I keep? What do I not keep? I feel like in sessions, you follow the trail of what's present right now. And then like that's what's showing itself to you, which means it's what your consciousness knows is ready for right this second.
I feel like you always receive what you need at that moment.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's so much easier because you don't have to go digging for shit that isn't ready to be looked at, you know? Like if it was ready to be looked at, it would be in our consciousness already.
That's right. And that's all part of, you know, the life that Oron says that we're supposed to be living. It's just easy. Everything's supposed to be easy.
Easy and like joyful and stuff. But like, I think we haven't really, it's coming out next week. I did another session with Mel, I think it was it Mel? And they talked about how like we have this idea that once we're healed, like then everything's kind of perfect and we don't have to experience any bad things ever, right? And it was really interesting what they said. They said there's always going to be friction because there's always going to be more expansion available. But it's true that as our consciousness and our energy expands, we won't have the energy to be able to hold the like much denser emotions. But there's always going to be a friction between where we are and going to a next level somewhere. And it's just that, but our consciousness will be able to detect like minute friction where that now is imperceptible to us because our consciousness is a bit more dull or whatever. So it's like, it's not that there's ever going to be a point where you never have to like, you know, be conscious of things or mindful of, it's just that it gets more fine tuned and more subtle as we go up and up and up.
I totally resonate with that because it does life as you do heal, things that you would have, you know, stressed you out, you know, a year ago, don't in the same way.
Yeah.
And I was telling my 9-year-old this morning that life is just so amazing and so beautiful. Even when bad things happen, it's actually still beautiful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's interesting that you said that. I had this realization this morning. I was like, I hardly ever get my feelings hurt now.
I love that. That is so awesome.
I used to get them hurt quite a lot, like a massive big lot. And I'm very sensitive. I've got really big feelings and stuff. So I think it occasionally I'll feel hurt by something my partner does or whatever. But like compared to, like I used to be getting stabbed in the heart all the time. Yeah. And I just realized this morning, that doesn't really happen now. That's cool.
It's because we come from a different place now, isn't it? You know, when you come from a different, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's, you know how Oron always says it's like a representation of what you feel inside. When you've got harmony inside, everything on the outside is harmony too.
Yeah, that's really it. That's well said. Because I feel like back in the olden day, like I didn't love myself all that much. And so I was trying really hard to be a good person because deep down I was really scared I wasn't one. Yeah. And so whenever anyone said something that I could interpret as evidence that I'm bad, that's how I used to hurt my own heart with their words.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but I would feel like they were hurting me, but actually I was taking what they said and just stabbing myself in the heart with it without realizing.
Completely. I think we all do that.
Yeah. So, but now, like I truly love myself, like in a really profound, deep way. So it's like I've got to work harder to be hurt. You know, like,
don't work at all towards that.
Exactly. It's like I don't, like now if people say something, and you know, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm much more likely to go, oh gee, I wonder what's happening with them. Rather than to take what they're saying as evidence that I'm shit or I'm bad or I should have done this better or I should have thought more about that or, you know, whatever else.
Yeah. Just taking the empathetic road. it helps so much
with
to deal
ourselves, because most people do it for friends and others or people they care about, but like learning to do that for ourselves, like practically, actually day to day, like, because I also feel like people really care about self-love and understand that it's important, but really, like, they might book in a massage or whatever, but like self-love is how we talk to ourselves. Like, it's how we encourage ourselves. It's what we think about ourselves. And that's a lot kind of more challenging for people to get.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Especially when we've been conditioned and grown up to, you know, always have done things wrong. You know, the way we grew up. love our parents, but they did the best with what they knew.
Well, society did as well. And our society looks pretty fucked up at the moment, but apparently it's all for the good long term. So yay for that.
Well, there's hope in it. So
there is. Thank you so much. That was so awesome.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.